What's up, guys? Rob and Melissa here with Flea Market Flippers.
Hello, guys.
What's going on? Hope you guys had a great weekend and a great week last week. Super stoked to jump on here, answer some questions for you guys from people who've written in, and actually whatever live questions you guys come up with tonight, please throw them in the chat. You guys know you can always throw them in the chat. We'll answer them as many as we can get to as we go through this live. So let us know what's on your mind and what you're struggling with this last week or what's going on this week. So
yeah, we've been working to, sorry, we locked our dog up and he's not very happy. We're working to get on a road trip, and we're going to be finding some items on our road trip. We're headed out west a little bit and taking the trailer with us because, of course, we're going to be stopping at thrift stores and flea markets as we're driving.
That's right. So, and hey, if you guys have any good flea markets in your area, post it. Let us know if you think we need to visit your flea market. We're, like I said, we're headed on a epic road trip to check out different flea markets and stuff like that. So super stoked about that. I've been super busy trying to get that all in order and all taken care of. So
we bought a 15-passenger van because we're taking your sisters and our nieces with us, and so it's going to be 11 people in a van for a little less than a month.
Yep.
It should be fun.
Yep, it'll be good. But we will be on the road. We will be finding some sweet stuff, and we will keep you guys posted. Still going to go live. Still do our Monday Night Lives with you guys. Answer all the questions and let you know what cool stuff we were able to find. So that is the plan. So yeah, that's our coming up. That's the next couple weeks for us coming up. While the kids are on summer break, we're going to try and get that in. And then, yeah, we're super stoked.
Yeah. Michael said, what's up? Hi, Michael.
What's up, what's up?
Awesome. Yeah, so do you want to dive in?
Yeah, let's go ahead and read the question real quick, and then we'll get into it in just a minute. So.
All right, so we're going to talk about negative feedback tonight.
Huge deal.
Yeah.
Huge deal when you guys get negative feedback.
Debbie asked the question, I just received unfair negative feedback on eBay. Is there anything I can do?
Yes. Now, this has a couple different aspects to this question. We can jump into some different aspects. Are we jumping into the question now, or are we going to talk about some other stuff?
No, we're jumping into the question. But
okay.
There's a couple parts to it. So to the answer, because it is a yes, but there's some things involved in that as well.
Definitely. And don't forget, guys, everybody who's jumping on here while we're going over this stuff, please, if you have any questions while we're going through this, throw them into the chat. We'd love to answer them for you guys. So, but yes, this question is, if you do get negative feedback, it can be taken off. You can have eBay taken off if it is undeserved or attacking your character. Buyers are not allowed to do that. If you're a seller, you cannot leave negative feedback. Years and years ago, they used to let sellers leave negative feedback. You cannot do that anymore. So only the buyer has the option to leave negative feedback when they receive an item for whatever reason.
Positive feedback and write a comment though underneath it.
A negative comment.
But it still has positive feedback on the buyer.
So that, like we said, it is if it is undeserved, if it's attacking a character, you can get it removed. There's a couple different ways you can remove it. You can actually jump on and go through eBay's their system to remove it. I think it's all automated to go in and do it. We do not recommend you doing that. That's not the best way to do it. You really want to get a rep on the phone, talk to the reps. That is the easiest way to do it. And when you're talking to somebody live, they can understand what you're going through to get that removed. So they'll better side with you or understand your feelings of what's going on versus sending it into a computer to let a computer decide if they're going to remove it for you. So.
And on the note of calling eBay has been getting on the phone a lot easier now. So you can submit you submit your phone number, and they'll call you back. Right now, you still can't. Have you tried to call? No. Even the last week?
I'm not sure that they'll ever open it back up for you actually to call into them. You have to actually submit a ticket, or they'll call you back. So,
but they will call you back. We've been on the phone with them a couple times. We've had students be on the phone with them, so they will call you back. If you can just submit your phone number and they call you back that day. Yeah. So you can get on the phone with them. So that's a really good thing, because for a little while you could not talk to anybody, and it was really tough if you had any issues in that 2-month period where you couldn't get a hold of anybody. Yeah. But I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, definitely. But that is the safest and easiest way to do is get eBay on the phone. Now, if the feedback was deserved, you might be saying, what is that? What is deserved feedback? If something went wrong in the transaction and the buyer had a bad experience, they can't attack your character with the feedback, but they can say shipping took a month or whatever it is. Whatever happened in that transaction, the feedback is meant for a buyer to leave their feelings towards the actual transaction, not towards you, towards the transaction. So if they do leave you feedback that is deserving, you cannot get it taken off. So something crazy happens, you ship a bad item, the buyer does not like the item, you say you will not take a refund or whatever, anything like that, that the buyer has a bad experience and you cannot get it taken off. We just recently had feedback taken off for, I shipped an item out and the buyer received the item. He said, without responding to me, without telling me anything about it, he said it was a junky item or something weird like that. And I called eBay up and I said, listen, this guy didn't give me any chance to rectify the situation, make it right. He didn't do any of that stuff. He just left me a negative feedback about the item. And I said, I really need to get it removed. And they took it off. They took the feedback off. So now there are the other aspects to this. If you're brand new to eBay, you do not have a lot of feedback. eBay is not going to side with you. They're not, when you're trying to build your credibility, your feedback, and something happens, eBay most likely will not take the negative feedback off for you. We've been around for years and years and years. We have a great track record with eBay. We sell very expensive stuff. We have 100% ratings with eBay for our feedback on selling, and we sell a ton of stuff. So when we call up and there's a feedback that's on our account, drops us down from the 100%, it's very easy for eBay to look at each individual transaction or situation and decide if they're going to remove it or not. In our case, like I said, we've been doing this for years. We do it as a business. When we do get it, it's very much undeserved because of, this is the other key factors to being able to not have negative feedback is listing the item properly, listing it with great terms and listing it with great descriptions, great pictures, using all 12 pictures when you're listing your items. You have a great description, you have terms and conditions, you have all that stuff. So the buyer has the right expectations when they actually receive the item. It makes it a lot more likely that the buyer's going to give you positive feedback or not feedback at all and not give you negative feedback because of they had a bad experience. So
it's easier to prevent it than to get it removed.
Yes.
But if it is undeserving, you can get it removed. One thing I wanted to add about, if you don't have a lot of feedback, don't let that scare you off either, because you still can call them and you can still talk to them about the situation, but also work to get that feedback up there. So start selling a lot of smaller items just to get your feedback going. And so you have a lot of feedback. So when you do call them, that you have that favor.
Yes.
And getting to that top rated seller status really helps too. So
yes,
eBay definitely looks at that whenever they're deciding, because they have to go on the word of the buyer and the word of the seller, and they want to do the right thing, but they want to help the buyers, but they want to also not, they want to get their sellers mad. Yeah, so they want to keep it good. So they have to look at the situation. If you're a top rated seller, you've been selling for a little while, and even if you're newer, but you have a lot of positive feedback, they're going to tend to side with you.
Yeah.
So you can build it up fast too, just selling lots of smaller items and just get it going.
Yeah.
So,
and definitely your feedback coming in, if it's all of buying the items that you bought on eBay, that's all the feedback you have. And then you have a buyer leave you a negative feedback for one of the first items you sold. eBay, chances are you're not going to be able to get that stuff taken off because eBay looks at that kind of stuff. They look at your history. You've sold 50 or 60 items and you've had all positive feedback, 100% feedback, and then you sell the same type of item and you get a negative feedback. It is possible. Like I said, you can go in and talk to eBay and tell them, hey, this was very undeserving. I did everything on my end that I could to rectify this, to make this situation a good experience for the buyer, and they left this feedback, and I don't believe it's deserving. And you just have to tell eBay that. You have to get them on the phone, tell them what you're going through, and then, like I said, chances are, if you are up and coming or you have 100% feedback and you've sold a ton of items, chances are they will side with you and they will pull that negative feedback off. So
yeah, no, yeah,
cool.
Yeah, you're good. Just
awesome. So hopefully that's clear for you guys. Please let us know if there's any questions about the feedback, if there's any questions that you guys want to talk about, even if it doesn't have to do with feedback with flipping.
I did have something else I wanted to add to. I was trying to look at my notes. When we talked about calling eBay, sometimes you're gonna have to call them once or get them to call you twice, 3 times. Like, it's not always gonna happen on the first try. And you need to make sure that you can get to a supervisor if you can't get the rep on the phone to help you.
Yeah.
Because you need to get to somebody who could do something about it. Because sometimes the reps, they just go through, they'll read you the scripts. You'll hear it. It all sounds the same. It's just the scripts that they're supposed to tell you. So,
yep.
But if you can get to a supervisor, then they can usually do something about it. So
just remember, eBay's just like a normal business. They have lower reps that are paid less. They have supervisors, and then they have supervisors of the supervisors. So
you've
exactly. I've gone and talked to every single one of them. So it's one of those things that, sometimes the chain of command, you have to go up in the chain of command if you have a situation that is not right and you need to do it, and the rep's not whatever, they're not understanding what you're talking about, or they don't have the capabilities or the authority to handle the situation, ask them, talk to them for a few minutes and see how it's going, and say, do you really have the authority to remove this feedback or handle this situation? And they might say no, and say, okay, well, could I speak to your supervisor, please? I'm just wasting my time with you. Maybe not say that part of it, but you know what I mean. Just tell them, hey, is there any way I can talk to your supervisor? And just be polite. You have to understand, always polite is the best way to go, even if you're super upset. I was on the phone for one of our members, I think it was last week, trying to help one of our members get a situation handled that they had. It wasn't negative feedback, but it was a return. And man, this thing's been going on and on and on. One of the craziest buyers ever. But I got like 2 supervisors up to where I got to that supervisor, and she said, listen, my supervisor does not take phone calls. He will not get on the phone. You can't go any higher than me. I'm the highest that you can go. And we didn't get the situation handled like I want to, per se. It did get handled, but no, just not in the aspect that I was trying to get to with that supervisor. And she told me that her hands were tied, and it was a higher price item. It was over $1,000. So I kind of understood where she was coming from, but I think that whole situation will turn out right. But like I said, we couldn't just go to the first rep when we got them on the phone. We had to go up the chain of command until you got to somebody who you trust, and they're very competent when they're talking to you. You have to know that you're at that person before you accept it as a no, definitely not. So, cool.
I think, and you already talked about preventing negative feedback. That's the easiest way
it is.
to get rid of it, is to not get it. But there are buyers out there that will try to, they just people get mad. They're just negative people, and they leave negative stuff anyway in a lot of their comments and in whatever aspect of their life. So there's a lot of unhappy people, I guess you could say. But those buyers are very few and far between. So don't let that scare you from selling either. Because they're not. Like, it's 1 out of every lots of people. I don't know what number, but it's a lot. So don't let that scare you, because you can't get it off.
For sure.
All right, let's see so you have over here. Like I said, if you're in Texas, the weekend before the first Monday of the month, there's a flea market, the biggest flea market in Canton.
Sweet.
So we are going through Texas. It depends what day we actually leave, because we were going to leave today, and that didn't happen. So we pushed it back a couple days.
We still don't know what they were getting out, but it's coming up soon. So I don't know.
We'll see.
The weekends, wherever we're at on the weekends, we'll see if we can find the flea market closest to us. So sweet.
Outside of selling, I showed my son your Instagram video of the family on the surfboard. He thought it was awesome.
Awesome. We had the kids on the surfboard today. They had a blast. So,
what is the worst return you've ever dealt with?
This return for one of our members is by far, and it's not my personal return. It was actually a double oven that she dealt with. She shipped it freight. She had a very crazy buyer. He was trying to bully her into giving him a partial refund. And saying, like, basically he was doing all the right steps. Like, I know you have to give me the refund if I say the item is not subscribed, so you might as well give me the partial refund, or I'm gonna return it, and it makes no sense because you're gonna have to pay for the shipping back. So he was trying to strong arm her, which is against eBay's policy. It is. And had it been handled right the first time when all of it came up, it could have been closed right away. But this was when COVID was going on.
We couldn't get anybody on the phone.
Couldn't get anybody on the phone on eBay. So we were kind of stuck with what we had. And by the time it got to where we could get somebody on the phone, it was already escalated through their system too high to be able to get anything turned off. So it was just crazy. It's a crazy, crazy instance. Our personal worst, we don't, like I said, we take the precautions. We want people to have realistic expectations when they're getting our items. We do everything we can to turn somebody off to the item before they're buying it, so they know it's in better shape than they're expecting when they get the item. So we don't deal with a lot of crazy returns, period. I'm trying to think of, I had the last return that I can remember was I
know a big one.
Which one?
There was a big one that was actually, it was a $5,000 one.
Okay.
That those bunch of, I don't know what they were. They were those machines, the heaters, the
water heaters.
Water heaters.
Yeah, it wasn't 5,000. I think it was like $2,500.
Okay, $2,500. But there were a bunch of water heaters. But basically, the guy was not honest when he returned them, because we sold them as is. We didn't test them. Anyways, they had a whole bunch of communication, and he claimed fraud to his credit card, which there was already communication between the two of them.
Well, I don't even think he tried to return them, but he went.
No, oh, that's right. He just went and claimed fraud
on his credit card.
And then, and tried whatever. But
well, eBay, we didn't take them back.
No,
and
eBay sided with us, and they paid it out. So they ended up eating him for that.
Yeah,
so.
because they couldn't find the credit card, which is stupid because they had all the responses from him to me. He said he didn't authorize the
transaction,
purchase,
even though they had communication before.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that's the other thing is all of our communications went through eBay.
That's a big part. When always go through eBay.
When it goes through eBay, they have records of you talking to you, doing the whole sale through there. So yeah, that all that stuff. I mean, we're perfectly, since we've been doing this for so long, guys, we try and follow all the steps to make sure that we're protected. So in that case, yeah, it wasn't a big deal. eBay just wrote a letter and said, hey, we had to pay this guy out because he claimed credit card fraud. Somebody used his credit card to buy these. And I was like, you guys, this is insane. You can see they're shipping to his house. He took possession of them a month later. Yeah, a month later, he's trying to say that they're a credit card. So anyways, that by far, that wasn't that big of a deal because eBay they went out for the money. They let us know what was going on.
But it was nice to know that eBay protected us. So.
It was. I had another return that it was a battery charger. I think it was around $200 or $300. The buyer got it, said it didn't work. I approved the return because all I did was plug it in and power it on. I approved the return. He returned it back. When I got it back, he threw it in the box with no packaging, nothing in it. So by the time it got to me, it was beat to heck. I called eBay up and I said, listen, this buyer returned this. It's not in the condition that it was when it left me. And eBay actually refunded the money back to me that the buyer was supposed to get for the item because he shipped it back and it was not in the same condition that it was that I shipped it to him in. So yeah, we've had good with all of our transactions. Like I said, we promise what we're giving to the people. We give them great pictures, a great description. And in some cases, something might happen. Like in this case, I said this item powered on. I didn't test it because I didn't have a way of testing it other than powering on. And he said it didn't power on, and that's why we accepted the return. But in most cases, no, people understand what they're getting, and that's it. It's kind of, they're happy when they get it. We don't overpromise anything and then underdeliver. We try to underdeliver. We try to overpromise and we try to underpromise and overdeliver. So they have worse expectations when they get it, and then it is actually better than what they're expecting. So that's really our motto when we're selling. We want that to happen.
And had that item been damaged in shipping and he packaged it properly, it just would have been a shipping damage claim. So it would have been, we would have been covered, and like everybody would have got their money back, but it wasn't. So yeah, he just threw it in a box. He's like, all right, I got my money back already, but the item still has to come back to you in the same condition that you sent it. So.
And some people think that all they'd have to do is the transact. They have to show the tracking.
I need the item back in the same conditions that I sent it to you.
Exactly.
So it's really important. So I can resell it or fix it or do whatever. So yeah. Have you ever had someone scam you?
Not that I can think of. Do you think of any scams?
Now, since we're so established, we don't get a lot of like people scamming anymore.
No, we still have people. I just had somebody.
They write in.
No, I just had somebody the other day on eBay. They actually bought one of my items, and then they tried to send me a confirmation showing like a picture of PayPal, the confirmation for the item, and said, "All right, I paid the item, ship it to this address." And I said, "Yeah, sorry, and he had zero feedback. I was like, "Yeah, I mean, you can see I have tons of feedback, 100% feedback. I know how the system works. You can't really scam." Somebody who's in the, I mean, go to somebody who has zero feedback if you're trying to scam somebody. Well, you know what I mean? Don't pick somebody who's got 100% feedback and, 500 feedback to try and scam somebody. So he just shot me a picture of, something that he doctored up in PayPal, and he's like, hey, I paid you. And he didn't even pay the right price for the item. He added like a couple $100 onto it. No. So yes, you do still have people trying to scam, but no, you usually can sniff out scams. It's the same thing with Craigslist. There's scams on Craigslist. People wanting to buy something, they want you to ship it. They're going to pay you with a cashier's check once it clears.
We never do any of that.
No, I mean, you can kind of see, you can sniff out those scams. And we've been in the business as long as we have. It's pretty easy to see those scams before they come.
But you do get more of them if you don't have a lot of feedback. So especially when people first start out their eBay account, you'll get people offer you more than the item's worth. Hey, I'll give you an extra $10, or I'll give you extra $50, and then, So those are just kind of a telltale sign that it is a scam. And if they ever ask you to pay outside of PayPal, no, we don't do checks. We don't do wire money. No.
And if it seems too good, chances are it's not the right deal. So if you're selling something for $500 and somebody says, okay, I'm going to give you $800 for this. I'm going to pay the check. And then once it clears, send me back the money or something crazy like that. If it seems too good, listen, when you're selling something locally, it's cash in hand. You're meeting somebody, you're selling it. When you're selling something on eBay, once you get the money, once it's in your PayPal account, whatever it is, you don't ship until that stuff is done. And if you're even worried about a scam before you ship something out, call PayPal up. Make sure there's no issues with the transaction. Like I said, just do your, if it doesn't feel right, then you're probably, something's probably not right, and do some more research on it before you actually do the transaction.
And we've had some local people, scammers, try to scam at least, and they do the same thing. Is they contact you and then they say, oh, I can't meet you, I need my cousin to meet you, and then, or whatever, or can you ship the item, and then can I pay you this, and my father-in-law is going to go meet you, and they come up with a story or something. And then, no, I just take cash in hand. Sorry. Yeah. So you can see this.
My other rule of thumb is I'm a guy who gets on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're dealing local and you want to get on the phone with somebody and they won't get on the phone, they push you off. You know, I'm on a ship out in the middle of the sea and I can't use a voice phone. I've had crazy stuff like that happen, and they're voice to talk and all this kind of stuff. Or I'm deaf and I can't, just crazy stuff like that.
Stories.
Trust me, it's not legit. It's fake. They're trying to scam you. So like I said, if it doesn't feel real, ask even a friend, ask somebody, hey, does this sound right? Just get somebody else's opinion on the deal. And then chances are it might be a scam if you're getting that far. So.
Do you think that flea markets or garage sales will come back this summer with COVID going on?
Ours are already back. Ours have been open for a couple weeks now. So I haven't personally been. Yeah, I haven't personally been just because of been trying to get other stuff done. Yeah. But I've had a couple of my vendors actually call me and been texting me items that they have for sale. So yeah, our stuff is back up and kicking. I don't know other states. I don't know all that stuff, but I would assume, I mean, they can't just hold the world, where it's at forever. It's got to start.
Did close.
Yeah.
They're supposed to reopen somewhere else.
Our local Goodwill did.
But it did just close today. I saw.
So but our thrift stores are back open too. They've been open longer than the flea market. So yeah, you should start seeing that stuff. If it's not open in your towns yet, it should be coming very soon, I would think.
Not in New York, maybe not. Maybe not in New York. And maybe if you can go in like the suburbs, maybe you can find some more yard sales and stuff, or thrift stores that are open in smaller towns.
Yeah.
But they're definitely a lot stricter up there. Who pays for shipping on the return if the customer isn't happy?
There's a couple different ways you can do this. If you accept returns in your listing, you can actually click the box that says buyer is responsible for all shipping returns, really all shipping. So shipping to them and then shipping back if for whatever reason they're not happy. If they claim that it's not as described, so if they get an item, eBay can force you to take that return. Even if you say you do not take returns, they can force you to take it if the buyer says it's not as described. And then they will actually debit you if you don't send them a label. They will send the buyer the label to return it to you, and you'll be responsible for that label. So,
but then if it comes back to you and it is not in the same condition, that's when you call
in. Yeah, you open a case against it, saying that there's nothing wrong with this item. It was buyer's remorse, and then eBay goes back after the buyer for the whole thing. So
but yeah, and you can put it. Did you say that you can put it in your terms and conditions that buyer pays for shipping and a 20% restocking fee?
That's if you do not accept returns. You have some terms and conditions to go by that you have for yourself. But if you do accept returns, actually in the listing process, when you actually fill out your listing for the item, like I said, that's where you can actually click on a button that says buyer pays for returns if the return is accepted. So
I think we're caught up so far. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it, guys. Like I said, this was a question with negative feedback. Yes, negative feedback is not given, that's the say all be all. It's not like that. Nowadays, people give negative feedback for wrong reasons. You can have it removed, taking the proper precautions for it. So just know when you do have negative feedback and it's undeserved, it's not, and if it attacks your character, then yes, you can call eBay up and they will handle it for you. So. Sorry, on the table. So,
camera.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, good, guys. We'll wrap it up. Not too long tonight, but yeah, if you guys don't have any more questions for us, yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Go back and work on the van.
That's it. I got more work to do. Back to work.
Yep. All right, guys. Thanks so much. You are awesome.
You guys rock. We will talk to you next Monday. We will be on the road, so
we'll see where we're at. I don't know.
That's right. We'll keep you guys posted with some sweet finds we find on the road.
Yep. Awesome.
You guys rock. Have a great night.
Thank you.
See ya.